So when I was trying to decide what to do for my book report and which book to read, I talked to my niece, who is a junior high school teacher. And she told me I should read The Outsiders by S.E. Hinton. So that is what I read. And she also told me that they're really encouraging their students to do what's called a book talk, where you can go on and just talk about a book you read. So that is what I am doing, is a book talk. So this book is about these three boys in a family. So Pony Boy Curtis is the main character who writes the story. He's 14 years old, and it's about his life and then his two brothers' lives, Soda and Derry. These three boys have been orphaned. They live in a low-income area on the east side. They're members of a gang called the Greasers. In a neighboring area on the west side are the rich kids, and they're called the Socias. There is a lot of conflict, and it's showing how they can survive with the situation they were given and how they do that. As we talk about the characters, Pony Boy, who's 14, the main character, he sets himself apart of a lot of the Greasers because he's really smart academically. He does well in school. He, at the beginning of the book, you really see that he just has believed everything he's been told. He's basically been a child. He's believed this is what we do, this is what we see, and this is why we're doing it. We see him grow up throughout this book and go through the adolescent stages. Then we have his brother Derry. He's only 20, but he's quit school, he's taken on jobs in order to fight to keep these orphans living together and being together. So he's kind of taken on the weight of taking care of the family. And then we see Soda, who's the middle boy. He is kind of the happy-go-lucky. He's dropped out of school. He's in love and thinks he wants to be married. There are some other characters that are part of their Greasers group. A couple of them I'll talk about. There's more than just what I'll talk about. But Dally, who is a big, strong, tough guy, who is the strongest and toughest in the group. But as the book goes on, we see what kind of person he really is. And we see, from the very beginning, we know he's protective of Johnny. But we see what is behind his character, which was great. It was a great lesson. Johnny, he is kind of a quieter member of the group, but he really is, he brings some moral strength to the group. He brings a quiet demeanor and strength like nobody else to the group. There are a lot of adolescent themes in this book. Like I was saying, we kind of see Pony Boy grow up in this book. So I'm going to hit on a couple of them. One was the cognitive changes. I thought those were so prevalent in the book. Seeing him all of the sudden start to think about the possibilities. The possibilities as he's cognitively growing up that could happen. He's deductive reasoning to figure out his relationships, to figure out why the Socias do what they do and why the Greasers do what they do. And he's constantly trying to deduce information and make assumptions. We see him with that abstract concept. He's starting to learn the morals. Even though he's been taught this is what we do, he's wondering why. Do we believe in something more? He has that conscious coming in of right and wrong and wanting to listen to that. So I thought that was really interesting. The metacognition stuff, he really, he's not wanting to fight. And he's really thinking about his thinking. And why is he feeling this way when he's been told all of these things? And so he's constantly reevaluating his thoughts and thinking, why am I thinking this? Why shouldn't I be thinking this? And things like that, which I thought was really interesting. The multidimensional, he's able to really take in what Socias are saying. He can take in what Greasers are saying, what siblings are saying. He really is able to listen to multiple people giving him different opinions and then trying to evaluate those and research them and really looking at the relativism to him. And he's questioning everything. He's questioning everything he knows, everything he does, and who he wants to be. So I really thought that those 5 steps of cognitive development were really well shown in this book. I also thought we saw someone who basically had kind of thought he was in a stage of foreclosure, but then we realize maybe he's not in a state of foreclosure. Maybe he is waiting and he's still going to have that time of moratorium. So I kind of saw that that might be an issue, that it actually wasn't foreclosure. It was just maybe a waiting. So I thought that was kind of interesting. We also see a lot of self-efficacy in this. He thinks he is stronger and can do more than what he can do. He really doesn't. He takes on that higher risk that adolescence does. He doesn't think anything's going to hurt him. He doesn't actually worry about being in a fight for something happening to him. Even though we can see he's not to the end of puberty. He is smaller than the other boys. He's littler. So he hasn't had that huge growth spurt yet. But yet, he doesn't worry about that being a detriment to himself. He's still willing to do the risky things, and he takes that more and more throughout the book. We see that Derry kind of parents with an authoritarian because he really wants him to do well in school and do the things he needs to do. And he kind of demands a lot out of him, but he doesn't do a lot of responsiveness from him. And we see them be a part of this crowd and how they are expected to act and be because of that. So that is my book talk and I would highly recommend The Outsiders. I thought there was a lot to learn, and it was so much stuff about adolescent development and seeing those relationships that I thought was great to help with what we've been learning in this class. Thanks.